In the last video, we covered the reasons why players and teams are not talking, but how do you get them to talk and what should your focus points be as a leader, as a coach, or as a manager, or as a CEO of your organization, and you want to lead several teams. How can you get people to communicate and talk effectively? In this video, you will find out. So be sure to grab your pen and a piece of paper and let's get into it. What is up, guys? My name is Donny from nextlevel-esports.com, the #1 platform for esports coaches and team development to help you and your team reaching that next level by getting the people side of esports right. So if you like this type of content, or you're gonna watch this whole video, of course you will, and at the end you're thinking like, oh yeah, I like this piece of content, then be sure to smash that like button. It really helps me and the YouTube algorithm out to get it in front of more people like you who like this type of content. If you got any questions about this type of content or about something else or piece of content that you would like to see, post it down in the comments below. And if you love this type of content and you want to develop yourself towards the next level even faster, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll be always the first one to get notified when new content is up. And as of last week, I also launched the Next Level Esports Discord, and I'll put a link down below as well to be in a community with like-minded coaches, analysts, strategical positional coaches, owners, managers that want to develop as a team as a whole, where we share free video content, we do live events, etc. So if that is for you, then go down into the comments and the description, and then click that link and join the server, and I hope to see and talk to you there. But with no further ado, let's get into the video of today. So in this video, we're gonna cover how can you get your players and team to talk and communicate effectively with one another. So we use this by using the 6 R's. So we got remind, reinforce, re-energize, reassure, refocus, and reprimand. And I used accountability inside the brackets because reprimand is maybe not a commonly used word and you have to Google it. So it basically comes down to accountability, holding each other accountable. But we're gonna cover that in this video. So let's start with the first one, that is remind. So the first one is remind. And for me, from my experience and also looking at other teams, this can be, and I think this is the most effective one of all the 6 ones, even though those others are very important as well. But people often forget the power of reminding and rehearsal and doing things and saying things over and over again to really make it part of the culture that everyone keeps being in check and keeps being on the same page. Because what often happens in the beginning, when there's a total strategy planned out for the team, after 5 minutes the first one already forgot what the intention of the plan and the strategy was, because they're playing too aggressively, playing too defensively, they're walking inside a piece of map that they've never done before because something happened or they are nervous or something. So it's always good to keep reminding people what they need to do. So we're talking about what is important, remind what the goal is, remind what the game plan is, remind what each other's roles are, who is the shot caller, who's calling this, who's calling that. And if you want to be effective, designate these things to several players and hold them accountable for it, and let them remind the other teams, the other players, as often as they humanly can. Not like, let's say, a broken record, just repeating, but it's so good and so powerful. And maybe some players will say after 3 minutes in, like, yeah, I understand. But then you already know, and you have experienced enough probably, that you also know the opposite. If you don't remind them, that the plan will go to shambles. So take a little bit of hit or a little bit of heat from other players that are like, yeah, we already know. Good thing is that you keep reminding them and taking it seriously and being effective in your communication by holding on to the plan, saying what is important, what the goal is and what the game plan is and what the roles are. So it's about reminding these specific responsibilities. So if you designate this to several players into your team or roles within your organization, remind also the specific responsibilities of those people in your organization or in your team to really get this thing going of reminding the thing, right? So a good thing is, okay, X is a situation, we focus on I. So this is a situation that we are in. We got the plan, so let's focus on this. Even though you might assume that everything is clear what we should do next, just communicate what you already know so everyone can see it and objectively can agree with constantly. So everyone constantly is at the same and on the same page in synchronicity. Super important. Also, let's say before a team fight in League of Legends of Dota, a leader could say, or if you have a certain type of responsibility, so remind you guys, we're gonna play front to back when we're having the team fight. We're gonna do split pushing, or in a shooter game, like, okay, when they make this move, just remember we're gonna counter them, or we retreat and then do a retake, or anything else. Just like, it's all there already in everyone's mind, but it makes thinking and acting on those thoughts and the right intentions towards the movement that you want together with your team out there to be executed in succession. So reminding is very powerful. So there's a quote that I would also like to share, and that I think is really, really powerful, is that people need to be more reminded of what they already know than learning new things. So think about that. How many things you've learned in school, things that you've learned in your day-to-day life, things that you've learned in your professional or amateur career while playing this game, while coaching. You know so much, but to apply it the right effective ways in order to do that effectively, that can be really hard, because you need repetition. You need reminding yourself what your values are, what your playstyle is, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. So you be constantly reminded to play your best game every time, because if you are only learning new things, new champions, new utility lines, of course that is necessary in order to grow as a player, but you never can, let's say, get loose of the fundamentals, the being that you are. So one more time, people need to be reminded more than learning new things. Something to think about. So this is the first one, remind. So the second focus point to get people talking and communicating is to reinforce. And reinforce means, of course, fortifying someone, and of course, only positive behavior. If you see anything as little as someone else giving a compliment, or that you felt like you have a good time in this scrim or in this practice or in this tournament, or that you feel like, yeah, I'm improving, I'm feeling at home with you guys, compliment and reinforce that feeling so everyone can see it, that we're improving, that we're having fun together, and that really strengthens the bond between players, the staff, the organization, everything as a whole. And reinforce an attitude that everyone is, if some player is, let's say, always on time, let's say after 2-3 months, even though you might say like, yeah, this is mandatory, but when we're working in esports, especially in this infantile period where everything is new and people don't really have structure, etc., being 2 months straight in a row on time for some people can be a real accomplishment. So if you see that, call it out, reinforce the positive behavior that you like to see, and that attitude that people have, or that player that never gives up or is always positive, to call it out. If there's something positive to say, call it out, because we humans are often programmed to only speak on things when things are bad. Look at the internet when things are going down in shambles, in, like, let's say the day-to-day life, or the things that are happening in the world, and like, oh, everything is so bad and blah 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 blah, but there's way more good in the world than evil. But The human brain works in meticulous ways that we only, or not only, but most of the time focus on the negative things, like the negative thoughts, what could people say, but never or almost never like, oh, if they would say that, oh, that would be so good. That's just the way our brain works. So be aware of it, recognize these type of situations, and reinforce positive behavior. Super powerful. So you can do this by giving compliments, and it will help in fuel for positive momentum. So if you're inside the game and let's like, guys, we're rocking it, we're so good, keep this focus going, I'm really happy with you. That is so powerful to keep the momentum of atmosphere and team vibe going on. So they will reproduce that type of behavior if they're in the zone and really focus and playing their best game basically of their lives, or at least you try to. Things that you can say, for example, is I saw that was awesome, keep up the good work, dude. If we keep playing like this, we have the best chance of success. All these type of positive things to really get everyone on board, to feel like, okay, this is the way we should play. Yes, this is what feels good. This is what feels nice. Yes, I like that type of play. He's out playing like mad. Like, dude, you're a god. You're insane. Do it. It really helps building the long-term relationship and really builds on and fuels that momentum that you need in order to take those extra rounds inside the game. So recognize it and act upon it. So this was the second one, reinforce. The third one is re-energize. So sometimes the energy is just a bit low because of a long day of training, or you guys had a workshop, or you already had a meeting, or you've been a whole day of school, or you're in an exam period. There could be anything going on why the energy might be a bit low, or the enthusiasm is low because maybe the last 2 games you guys have lost even though you've tried, and you've got to pick it up, right? You got to pick the spirit up in order to make the best out of it. So be aware and recognize these low energy and low enthusiasm situations within your team environment in order to ignite something to build up a huge forest fire again, so you can get the momentum going and rolling as you go. So it can also be, let's say, to provide a spark of inspiration, just that little ignition that maybe sometimes a player need, that one simple sentence that get them fired up. And it can be anything, and you probably know the players best, or you can ask them what they like to hear in certain or specific situations to push the envelope in heated moments, or when it really matters, or when they're down, just like in a training, what you can do in order to help them to reignite their passion and their fire to behave in a performance way. So one thing that you can say is, guys, let's give it our best. We've got a chance to showcase who we are in this season. Now is the time to earn it. So there are a couple of components right here that is focused to who we are. It's a part of our identity. Do we want to be low energy? Do we want to be low in enthusiasm? Of course not. That's not who I am. That's not who we are as a team and as a culture. And we made goals that we want to showcase our skills towards the world. We all want to be out there, picked up by the great teams. And sometimes people can get low on energy because they feel like, oh, we're losing this game, like it's over, my career is over, or whatever. That's not really helpful, now is it? So to re-energize, like, guys, even though perhaps we might be losing, but we won't go today with giving it our best because we're showcasing it, and now is the time to earn it. Take your chance, take your shot, work as a team together, and let's go, guys. And that is a way to re-energize your player, your players, or your team. The fourth one is to reassure. That is also a super effective way to communicate, and especially when players are not feeling that okay with themselves or with the score at the moment, or anything. They're feeling anxious, nervous, or anything else basically that is attached to an emotion. And just like reassure those players that are feeling nervous or emotional, that it's going to be okay and that they still have a chance, because it's only over when it is over, right? So there's always a chance to win. Even though you're up against Goliath, basically, there's always a chance. Even though odds are against you, you always have a chance to win. So if you want to communicate on this way, especially from a leader perspective, it can be a very valuable way to talk and communicate with your teams and players. So reassure when there are obstacles, when there are things are in our way, like, okay, we have to overcome this one tournament, but after that we'll be, let's say, free or get a professional career, or yeah, dude, we're gonna get it, we get that far, because if we keep working together, you get the point. So reassure when there are setbacks, like, okay, we lost the first competition match of this season, even though it was a team that we believe we could beat, but we've got beaten. This is not the end. We still got a whole season ahead of us. So let's focus on our next game, get back tomorrow to practice even harder with more focus, to get this show on the road, to get the achievements and the results that we strive for and that we want to earn. So those things really help to rethink other teammates about the situation, to overcome those setbacks as well. And you also have to know that it will happen every season. There's always a setback. If that is not in the results, it's always about maybe a personal issue between two or more players, or something that is happening in the personal life of someone. There's always an obstacle or doubt or anything else that is going on. And just recognize the type of situation so you can work through it and use the reassurance in your talking and communicating. So reassure when others are frustrated or nervous, and also reassure when others are helpless and hopeless. Like if they're so much behind and the season sometimes doesn't matter anymore, how do you get them to move further? Give them some sense of hope and optimism, something to strive for, even though it's not what they maybe expected it to be, but they still have something to achieve and get fulfillment out of it. So it's up to you to find the right words for your players and team to fill in this gap, to reassure those players. So a thing that you can do is, we've got a lot of time to get back into the game. Take it one step at a time and we'll be okay. So even though you're getting behind by a couple of points, let's say in the first couple of maps or the first couple of minutes, and it feels like, oh my God, we ended, like we're running it down, like, oh, I forgot to attach my hands today or anything else. Take it step by step. Reassure them that there is time. We're going to take it step by step. We're going to refocus. We're going to play our own game, focus on what we're good at, and then we can pick up momentum. Slowly but surely, steadily, and then steamroll over the opponent, hopefully. But at least you give it your best shot in order to overcome these obstacles and setbacks inside the moment. So these are some things to reassure and to get people talking and get more open with one another and what you can say in specific kinds of situations. So reassure. There won't go any season when something just went terribly wrong, or someone made a comment that you dislike, or something happened into the day-to-day life, or they get interrupted or distracted by something negative inside the game, just like a broken update about a specific item, a specific hero, a specific champion, a specific map design, or anything else. It really doesn't matter. To get your team talking, it can really be good to refocus. So refocus when teammates have negative thoughts. So refocus on something positive and productive instead. So if they are lingering with, they got killed, for example, by this champion or by this cheesy new setup that others done, and they're like, yeah, it's effing noobs, and what they are doing is so cheesy, it's so bad, but it works because it's so broken, etc., etc. Let them focus, or help them to distract them and refocus them to something positive and productive. Shift their teammates' mind from problems to workable solutions. So, okay, this just happened. It doesn't really matter. We cannot control it. Focus on our game plan and let's make the adjustment. If they will do this again, how should we accordingly react to the situation? Or what should the next step be? Or what is the plan? What should we need to do? How do we want to play the next round out? How are we gonna play this? So you can ask questions to distract them and to get something positive out of it. So even though they might have a broken setup, a broken champion, broken hero, or broken whatever, or something that you just dislike and get low key or just like fired up and tilted through the roof, that doesn't really matter. Distract it, get something positive going on, and work to something productive. And it often goes something like, okay, we cannot control this. This happened. Let it go. Focus on what you can control. You just made a very good play, something positive. And then focus on the next step, being productive. So you just make a good play, even though you've died, you've done really well. What are you going to do next time if they are going to do it? Like then you make them think instead of letting them indulge in their emotions. So Refocus is a very powerful tool in order to get people communicating in the right way and get the show back on the road to get the results that you want. The last one to get your players and team talking is to hold them accountable. Reprimand is just another fancy word of holding yourself and others accountable. So constructively confront teammates when necessary. If that other person just had a party last night and is going in your practice or in scrims, he's like, oh guys, I'm tired. Like, you have to call them out like, hey, Jerry, I don't care that you went to a party. You can go to any party, but we are suffering from you and I expect better from you. So next time I would like to see that you come in here clean, washed, shaven, basically all fresh and ready to go with enough energy to do this for us, all right, and for yourself as well. Hold them accountable towards a certain amount of standard within your team culture, and hold others accountable to live up to and maintain the team's rules and standards. So if everyone agrees on the rules to become on time, and if one is too late, even though it's once every 3 months, some players have the tendency, yeah, but it's just the first time of me and blah, 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 excuse. Hold them accountable. Because if you don't confront them and there are no repercussions, sometimes others think like, okay, this is just like, why do we even make rules? So maybe next time I'm 1 minute late, like I don't care as well, because he doesn't seem to care about the team and the rules that we've made. So you need to defend your culture as if your life depended on it, and you don't want to allow anything to happen that you feel like, okay, this is detrimental for our results in the short term or long term, but especially long term, because people feel like, okay, if Harry is 1 minute late one time, like what does it do for this practice? But it's slipping into the cracks of the culture already, and maybe in a month or maybe in 3 months the whole culture is looking way different, because it all started with you or the other team members accepting that one is late or showing particular behavior that's not really acceptable. So hold them accountable. So for example, what you can say is, I know you're outplayed several times if they are tilted or whatever, and you are frustrated, but giving up is not what we are all about, because we made rules inside the culture that we never give up. We give it our all to showcase what we are capable of anytime, any moment of the day. So we need you to push through this game, and it can really help those players, especially if they are a little bit less disciplined or when they're tired or feeling a little bit off. It could be anything, that it gives them enough energy, or they go to their, let's say, reserve fuel inside of them to bring it up for this particular important moment as well. But it's not like always to punch people when they are tired, because sometimes you're just tired. If you have a very busy schedule with a lot of things going on, and then it is your responsibility and accountability to hold yourself accountable and responsible for the effects that it has. So instead of just like being in the exams and school and a day job, and then you want to practice, and then they have to say to you like, hey dude, what is up? You're not playing at your level that we're used to. Like, what is up? And if you have to tell them at that point, like, yeah, I'm tired, I'm so busy this week, blah, 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 you're already too late, basically. That's not taking responsibility. If you feel like you are tired and like real tired and it's hard for you to get into the focus zone, then say it before others will show it. That is what as a team is about. Not only about being tough and being like, oh, I don't talk about my weaknesses. It's not healthy for the team environment. So if you're really a team player and want to be a better teammate for others and get better results together, be real, get real, be human, admit your weaknesses or admit that you are tired, and then move on. So everyone can work together with you to get the most out of the situations with the information that you have right now. That is also a point of accountability, taking responsibility as well. So these are the 6 R's, and the last one is reprimand. So this is it, guys. I hope it brought you tons of value. So let me know in the comments below. So to round things off in a quick overview, this isn't something basically every R for everyone. These are also sometimes personality related, because sometimes one is really good to refocusing or re-energizing the team because he's always joyful, really, let's say, have a good bond with the players and he's good in that department. The other one is sometimes very good to repeating the plan all the time. The other one is more in the leadership and defending the culture type of personality or role, that he finds it more in tune with his nature to hold others accountable, that he likes to take a bit of control and in that type of leadership. So designate these types of talking and communicating to the right persons. But if you find someone that is not talking at all and he's like introverted and shy, give them one piece of this information and help them and coach them on these parts so they can be more involved as well. And if that's not, you can coach them on this as well, what you would like to see in them, why they should keep themselves in check and accountable, re-energize on specific moments. This is not something that you just see, but you have to work on this as well. This is what coaching is. It's not like, oh, knowing is not the same as applying it or doing it. It's doing the both, using this, let's say, theory together with the practicality, and also the practicality with the theory, so you can combine both and get the most out of it. So be sure to see where you can get some value out of these types of talking and communicating ways with your team so you can reach the next level. So if you liked this type of video, then hit that like button, and thank you so much for watching. If you got any questions or comments or ideas that you want me to make videos about, something that's on your mind, or you feel like, oh, that could be valuable for you or perhaps also others as well, just message me or put it in the comments below. I also made a Discord recently, what I've said before in the beginning of this video. So if you like to be part of the Next Level Esports community with like-minded people that wants to develop as an esports coach or develop better teams and get the people side of esports right, I'll put a link in the description below as well. And if you love these types of content and the things that Next Level Esports does, then be sure to hit that subscription, notification bell, subscribe, and then I will be notifying you every time a content piece is up. So be sure to do all that, and I would like to thank you so much for watching, and as always, bye bye.